Yo, what's up YouTube? It is OG and today we are doing another entry in the Keeping It 1K series and we're going to be covering my man Barley. So I accidentally forgot that I got Barley to 1K. I got him to 1,000 cups in that crazy season I did where I hit 22K. Got all the 1Ks and like all those 900s. And I just kind of forgot about it after a while. I covered Leon and Colt already and I like high key forgot I did Barley too until I saw a screenshot. So I know you guys like the 1K series, so I wanted to get it out ASAP. But yeah, you know, he's still a really great brawler, so I'm excited to cover him. Alright, so my push with Barley was definitely one of the easier ones of the season. Just because of Siege. He is like so easy to push in Siege. Ash does this thing where he like calculates the top 200's highest brawlers, and Barley's been like top 3 for like the past 3 seasons or something, and it's just all because of Siege. He is like pretty essential on every comp. Even though he does have a lot of counters now, you can just still get like such great results with him, so I strongly recommend pushing him in Siege. So Barley's shooting mechanic is he's a thrower. Him and Dynamite are the only throwers in the game, and the difference between him and Dynamite is Dynamite just has that shot and it explodes right away. Well, Barley has a shot and it like lingers for like a second or two, and if you stand in it, you'll take an extra like 952 damage at max level. So just due to the fact that it's a lot easier to hit Barley shots, and Barley's been getting a good amount of buffs lately, Barley is definitely the thrower of choice right now, and he's just a beast, guys. It's really easy to hit your shots with Barley, so you can be really effective with him. Alright, so for Barley's super attack, it's pretty much the same concept of his main attack, except like a way bigger area, and I love his super attack. It's really, like, there's not too many things in this game that can get you like full control of mid again, or like, you know, out of a spawn trap, but Barley's super is one of those things. It's just so much area denial, and you know, your enemies can't really do anything. They're like forced to push back. You don't always need to focus on value with it. If you're like trapped at the back, like just whiff it out there. I'll get more into that after, but it is just a really strong super attack, guys. Lots of scenarios where you can use it in, and it's really effective. Alright, so for Barley's star power, he gains 300 HP. I think it's every time he attacks, or like every other time he attacks. I think the star power suits him really well. I just don't like how you can miss your attack and still get the value of the star power. So I'd like to see them rework it, that you actually have to hit your attack to get the 300 HP instead of just like whiffing a shot and getting rewarded for it. So it definitely like suits the brawler really well, and it's really useful because Barley's all about control, and it cuts down that regen time, and you can keep pushing just because you know you're going to be getting that 300 HP. So with the star power, you can definitely be more aggressive. I like the star power again. I just don't think you should be rewarded for missing a shot. So hopefully they might tweak it a little bit and make it so you actually have to hit a shot to get the value of the star power. Alright, so some general tips for Barley is, I covered this a little earlier, but using your super to regain mid control, get out of a spawn trap, etc. It is just so good. It covers so much area, and your enemies can either stand in it or get value, or just like lose their control and their positioning. So, you know, obviously you want to get value out of your super attacks and your attacks usually, but with Barley's, sometimes you just gotta whip it out there and like get your team back in a fight for mid control, get out of the spawn trap, and there's literally nothing your enemies can do about a Barley super, so they have to avoid it unless they just want to keep chaining your attacks. And you do get it really fast, so I wouldn't worry too much about whiffing it. Like I said, it's really important to regain mid control in like pretty much every game mode. That's how you win them all. So it is super useful, and it's just a really great super attack. Alright, my second tip is to take advantage of mismatches. So there are not a lot of brawlers that can deal with the Barley very well. Obviously it depends on the map and the brawlers, and he does have hard counters, so you definitely need to watch your matchup. But if you have a mismatch, you need to be really aggressive and just dominate your side, because odds are, if you have a mismatch, they can't even touch you if you're using Barley properly and you have a wall in front of you. So you always want to be as aggressive as possible if you do have that mismatch, and then just take over your side, chip in on mid a bit, you know, get a super, like clear out mid for your mid, and just, you know, take advantage of the other team and their comps. So if you have the star power too, you know, this definitely helps with being aggressive, because if you do get hit on the off chance, if you have a mismatch, you'll just regen while you're being aggressive. So with Barley, it's all about who you're matched against, what comp, and odds are if it's not another Barley or like a Carl or like a Mortis or something, you can just dominate your lane. So definitely be aggressive with Barley in mismatches. My final tip for Barley is do not waste your shots and try not to panic. So Barley is a very controlly brawler, but he does not have the fastest reload speed. So if you're wasting all your shots, you're going to be able to be pushed back really easily, depending on the brawler that you're playing against. And once you lose position with Barley, it can be hard to get it back. Again, it depends on the comp that you're playing against and map and everything, but it is really tough to do a lot of damage with Barley if you're not in a good position. So you really need to be conservative with your shots sometimes. If you do have to back up a little bit and save some shots, that's fine, as long as you don't waste your shots and get no value out of it, and then you're stuck doing an uphill fight the entire game. So you definitely need to be patient when you're playing Barley to be super effective. Alright, let's get into Barley's best mode. So for his number one mode, I definitely had to go with Siege. Even though he does have a lot of counters, and the last balance changes definitely didn't do him any favors, buffing Carl, he is still just so good in Siege. Leon's really popular, so is Carl in Siege, but Barley's just so good for that control. You can get really good value with his supers, especially on bot pushes. And one thing that he has a lot of Siege brawlers don't have is a crazy amount of damage capabilities on pushes. So on defense, he's definitely not the best, but on offense, if you can get like a Barley ult on safe, he can't really body block the robot, try to defend like that, because they'll be trapped on the Barley ult, and you can just keep chaining it. A lot of the maps I feel are designed for throwers, so Barley's definitely the thrower of choice right now, and he just dominates most of the time. You definitely do have to watch out for Leons, and your teammates kind of do have to protect you in most cases, just because, you are really squishy, but I think it's definitely worth the risk of playing Barley just because of the possible damage output and control factor. So he is really strong in Siege, guys. I strongly recommend pushing him there. Alright, so Barley's second best mode, I gotta go with Gem Grab. Now, again, it's really map dependent in Gem Grab, and you'll see a Carl pretty much every game now, and that's a pretty decent counter to Barley, but he is still really good on a few maps. You don't want to play Barley on something like Stone Fort, but Deep Siege, Deathcap Cave, Hard Rock Mine, those are all really good Barley maps, and you can get really good value. You just have to be a little smarter now, because obviously you're going to be matched with Carls a lot of time. He's still really strong. It's an indirect nerf with the last balance changes, but you can still get really good results with Barley, so definitely try him out in Gem Grab. For Barley's third best game mode, I have to go with Heist. Now, historically, Heist was Barley's always his best mode, but they have made a lot of changes to the game mode. The main one that I think nerfed Barley in Heist would be removing the walls in front of the safe on every map. That was kind of a place where you could just kind of like camp out, get like really good damage, and be really effective. But on most maps, that place is gone now, so he still has his maps, like Rolling Rumble, he's really strong on. That map's like designed for Barley and Rico. Forks Out, he's pretty essential on. And you can get away with him on other maps like Safe Zone, etc. So he's still like really good on a few Heist maps, but he's definitely not anywhere close as effective as he used to be. Barley's fourth best mode, I went with Brawl Ball, and it's really map dependent for this one. I mean, there's definitely a lot of better options on some maps, but he does play really good on a few maps, those being Triple Dribble, Sneaky Fields, and you can get away with him on a few other maps. But it's not his best mode by any means, and you'll see a Carl pretty much every game of Brawl Ball now, which huge counter to Barley. But he does do really well against like Jessie's. He can do okay against Nita's, Spikes, which you see pretty often in Brawl Ball, so he can be really effective in the right hands in Brawl Ball. Alright, Barley's fifth best mode has got to be Showdown and Duo Showdown in my opinion. Now, he has some maps which are definitely designed for him, and I think he's a lot better in Duo Showdown than he is in Showdown, just because you can have a tankier brawler or like a Leon on your team, and if you're not teaming in solo showdown, he is just so vulnerable from like a Leon sneak, a Carl super, you know, a tank rushing onto you or something like that, because he's like really squishy, right? And he doesn't have the highest damage output. He's a control brawler again, so I definitely prefer using him in 3v3 modes, but you know, there's some maps that you can definitely get away with playing Barley on. Stormy Plains for one, I was playing that earlier, and I got decent results with Barley. So I recommend him in duo showdown over solo showdown, but you know, you can get away with him in either, depending on the map and the comps that you play against. Alright, and for Barley's worst mode, I have to go with Bounty. Now, he has a few maps that you can use him on, Layer Cake, Excel, maybe even like Bullpen or something like that. But Bounty tends to be dominated by long-range brawlers or sneaky brawlers, both which Barley doesn't fare well against. So just because of that, I think there are a lot better options most of the time than a Barley. So I had to rank this as worst mode. Now, you know, you can get away with him on XL and be effective and stuff, but like I said, just Leon sneaks, like Piper shots, Brock ults, like Penny mortars, it's not exactly what you want to play against when you're a Barley, so I had to rank Bounty last, just because of all that. Alright, so let's get into some counters. So Barley counters a lot of brawlers fairly decently, and can, you know, you can put up a fight pretty much against anyone if they don't have their ult, except maybe a Mortis and there's a wall in the way. But some of the people that I feel like he hard counters, he definitely is really effective against spikes, Jessies and Jessie turrets. He's probably the best counter to a Jessie as long as you have a wall. And you know, he's really good against Pams too, depending on the positioning, and just anyone that he can be annoying to and they can't really touch him and they don't have like too much HP, you know, he can fare really well against them. So it's all situational and map dependent, but my favorite counters would have to be Spike and Jessie. So who counters Barley? Now, the most notorious one is definitely going to be Mortis. Mortis is just so toxic against Barley. Luckily, you don't see Mortis in competitive play too much just because of shot delays. So if you're playing competitive, you don't have to worry about that as much, but there are a lot of other hard counters. So Leon with his super, it's like GG for Barley. Carl with his super, GG for Barley again. You know, Primo with his super, anyone that can like really get in Barley's face, you know, just kind of ignore a wall or, you know, sneak up on him, they're gonna like just run over Barley. So you definitely don't want to be matched up against those guys. But you know, if you're playing against a Leon and you have a wall and you're playing smart, you know, you can win that matchup. Same with the Carl. Carl's gonna be like a little tougher, obviously, and tanks, you know, tanks can be tough too, just because so much HP, they're faster than you, and if they get super, they can just keep chaining it. So it's definitely like all like situational, and you know, he can fare pretty well against anyone besides a Mortis. So definitely play to the map that you're on, and you know, play smart if you're playing against someone that counters you. Alright guys, that's going to sum it up for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video of keeping a 1K with Barley. I have no idea who I'm going to do this season. I kind of skipped out on last season, so I definitely owe you guys one, so I'll definitely have to do it. I was thinking Penny just because I love that Penny skin, but you know, we'll see what happens and how I'm feeling. So thank you so much for coming out and watching the video. I'll try to get another one out on Thursday. I'm really busy tomorrow, but please like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you soon. Peace.